paragraph I'm going to read out to you now came from the Echo, and I want to just get your thoughts on it. So it said, and this is about Jarrod Bowen, it said, it remains to be seen as to whether Bowen will have impacted the destination of the Premier League trophy next season, but ultimately it could be a matter of time before he's part of the top squad at Anfield. Interesting stuff.
Yeah, I think obviously the Bowen stuff has been around for a while now, and at first some people didn't know how to deal with it, but I think he's definitely proven himself. He's proven that he'd be an absolute fantastic player for us and a fantastic signing. I'd be all over Bowen. I'd be all over it. I would really love to see it. I thought he was phenomenal against City. His second goal in particular was very Salah-esque, or was it the first one? One of them. I think it could be the heir to the Salah throne. I'm not saying that's an imminent to a departure, but Salah's not going to be around forever, so could be time to look for a backup with the view of the future. Yeah, I'd love it. I'd be all over it. I think he'd command a silly fee, but if we could negotiate, then yeah, I'd be all over it.
I mean, Paddy kind of touched on it there, Chris, but it's a tricky conversation to have, because do we look at Jarrod Bowen, in his own right as an addition to the squad, in which case, I'm sure everybody would probably be more happy with it, or do we have the difficult conversation about him being a potential replacement for somebody? That's where I think a lot of our fans are taking, and I've read some of the comments before the stream, taking some insult to the possibility of us losing somebody. And I understand none of us want to lose anybody. So where do you think the most likely solution to this situation will be, or the most likely outcome to it with regards to Jarrod Bowen? Jarrod, I'm fucking making him a foreigner already there.
Jarrod.
Jazz up the name.
Yeah, look, I publicly expressed how much I think he's destined for the top of the Premier League and of world football. I think he's genuinely that good. He's not single-handedly, but very much been a massive part in West Ham's season this season. The issue will be his price tag, and that's where I think his role in the squad would come in. I don't think you can go out and spend probably the 60 million quid you'd have to spend on Jarrod Bowen to be a backup. And I don't think Liverpool would go and do that and spend that amount of money on him when he's not being guaranteed any minutes. And that makes me think that if Bowen does come in, that we will see Salah's departure. Not saying that would be the right thing to do or the wrong thing to do, that Bowen's better than Salah or Salah's better than Bowen, either way. Like, it's you can't sign a 60 million backup unless you're Manchester City for me or PSG, because Liverpool don't operate in that manner.
I mean, yeah, there's the sense of that, Paddy. It would be very unlike us to go out there and spend. And look, we're making, a guess at the figure of 60 million for Bowen, but it would be very unlike us to go out there and splurge that much on a backup right-sided attacker.
Yeah, it would be. So if we see Bowen come in, it'd be more than a backup. It's like you're bringing him in as a second right-sided player with the view of putting pressure on Mohamed Salah, like what Costas has done to Robbo. I think it's just all about we need that level of competition in every position. I would love to see. I really would love to see. I'm fully all aboard that the Bowen boat now. I would love to see it. I'd love to get it done before he inevitably goes to the World Cup, because that will skyrocket his price. So get it done in the summer. Don't wait till next summer or January or whatever. But yeah, I think he's class, quality, and he's still relatively young, isn't he?
25, so he's right in the Luis Diaz, Diogo Jota age bracket of. It's weird because we do seem to have this 29-30 bracket, then this 25-year-old bracket, and then the younger forwards or the younger players coming through as well. I suppose this leads us to the difficult part of this conversation, gentlemen. Do we think that the stuff around Bowen is starting to come out now? And I know I bring up the Echo, Chris, because they certainly have in previous times had a line from the club occasionally on stuff. And I wonder, is this the PR machine maybe starting to kick into full effect now?
Yeah. The Echo's been very well known to sort of put down rumors as well. Like, and they've said things that were just never going to happen. They've put things out that, like Thiago, for example, they denied until the very day that it happened. When it was clear to the rest of the footballing world that something was going on and something was happening. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe they have been fed a line. I don't know. I don't trust it, to be honest. And I'm not going to take anything from the Echo until I see it tangibly in front of me. I don't trust them anymore. Not since James Pearce has left them, to be honest with you. And even he's gone a little bit downhill at the Athletic, but I still trust him. I don't trust the Echo.
From the part of it, Paddy, that if the worst was to happen and Mo was to move, I'm glad that this seems to be the type of potential replacement that we're being linked with, because it makes sense. And I know, mate, I know you're fed up to death of us talking about this, and I don't blame you, but still, no word, no movement, no signs, nothing either way around Mohamed Salah. And I try to gauge the feelings about our fans from our Discord group, which is our own little demographic of people that I can ask for opinions. And I think everybody's just at the point of wanting a resolution, one way or the other, hopeful of a positive, but ultimately just wanting a resolution around this situation.
Yeah, absolutely the same. I want the Salah saga to be over, whether it's good. Well, obviously want it to be rectified and him to stay, obviously, but there's only so long you can negotiate for. If they're not finding a happy medium, I don't think it's ever going to get done. And as you said, when they go away in the summer, and the absence will cause difficulty, because that Rami guy will be up to his antics on Twitter, no doubt. But yeah, I want it to be resolved, obviously for the better, which is Salah signing on. But the longer run was on, the less I think it's going to be done, and the more I think we have to look at a potential replacement.
I mean, this is absolutely spot on. I mean, genuinely, I'm starting to have dreams about it now, Chris. It's occupying too much of my time, man. It really is. And look, that shouldn't be nobody else should care about that, what goes on inside my head. But yeah, it's I just keep coming back to the same thing, mate. It's unnecessary distractions. And I know people try and say it isn't a distraction, but it is if you're looking to plan for the future.
Yeah, and I'm sure Jurgen Klopp in the past has always disposed of unwanted characters. I mean, you look at the way the treatment of Mamadou Sakho got as soon as he started messing around. Now, obviously, this isn't on that level of behavior, but Mo Salah is clearly going to have an impact inside because of the amount of external pressure that he's putting onto this situation. Now, if he just came out and clarified his future, I understand the negotiations behind it would change completely, but it would make so much more sense for Liverpool and for him. Just to and for the fans, just to calm it all down and get ready for the final. But look, they've done just as well with this distraction. So maybe it's not a bad thing after all.
One thing, Paddy, we haven't really spoken about, because I think we've been trying to blank it out, is if Mohamed Salah was to refuse a new contract and the club decided, along with his representatives, that a change is needed, what would his market value be with 1 year to go on his Liverpool contract? Because I can't envision a situation where we let him run it down and leave for free.
1 year left on his contract, 75 million.
Do you know what? I think you're probably on the money. I was thinking maybe 70. That was around where I was.
It's tough, because obviously with 1 year left, it's significantly less than his actual market value would be in terms of a full contract. I think if he was on a proper deal, I think you'd be looking at 150 million for Salah. But I think about halves with only 1 year left, because the clubs negotiating will know that they have Liverpool by the balls. Really, it's if you don't let him go now, then he'll go for free. So it's a horrible thought. I can't imagine Salah leaving and in his prime right now and playing for anyone else but Liverpool. But the longer it goes on, the deal hasn't been done, the more it's worrying. And let's be honest, on the pitch, compared to the first half of the season, his performances have wavered, and the powers that be will make note of that, and it'll be a part of the contract discussions, and that's when I think we could be looking at real trouble, because Salah will be like, well, if you just treat me like that now, I think there's conflict to be had. There is conflict going on with this, and I don't think it's an easy resolution.
Again, Chris, we're all trying to make guesses, albeit somewhat educated guesses on this situation, but one thing that I think I've almost come to terms with in my own head is that I'd be very surprised if Mane and Salah were here at the start of next season.
I'd have to agree, mate. I'd have to agree, and it's gutting because, to be honest, I'd love them both to be here. I think it would be
same.
so beneficial for both of those players as an individual and the club as a whole. But football does move on. We can't hang ourselves up on either of them. If one of them does go, then fine. The club will move on and replace them accordingly. It will move on, and yes, it's a long situation and something that is going to frustrate us. But we'll look back on it and just think, thank Christ that's over. Whatever outcome happens.
Right, Paddy, if we're to try and put together a case for why Salah may look for a move away, what would be the biggest selling points to him to potentially move away if he felt like he couldn't figure it out at Liverpool? So more money. We agree he could probably get more money elsewhere.
If it goes to PSG, maybe, but I don't think there's any benefits to leaving Liverpool for Salah at all. No other club in the world will be as tailor fit for him as Liverpool is. So I don't, there's no reason for him to leave. There's nowhere he can go to better himself. I don't understand. The only thing that could be because he's now completed the set at Liverpool, hasn't he? So it's like he maybe might want a new challenge for his own kind of personal competitiveness. But then again, he has so many records to chase at Liverpool. So I think in an ideal world he'll want to stay 100%. But I think money is the root of all evil, and money could be the reason we see this stumble. And I think the agent, if we see what he's like on Twitter, you can only imagine what he's like at a negotiating table. So I reckon this Salah will be the ruination, or his agent will be the ruination of this deal.
See, what kind of, again, the reason I asked Paddy for that was to try and just pick holes in this, because I want to try and convince myself he's staying, Chris. So if the thought process isn't money and it was about another challenge, which, look, some footballers are going to the career wanting to play in all the major leagues, or, they'll have an ideal scenario. But if that was the case, then there shouldn't really be a way to convince him to stay. If you get me, like if he wants another move, then just come out and say, I fancy another move to another league, another club. It wouldn't be about money. It wouldn't be about prestige. It wouldn't be about feeling valued. It would be about wanting a new move.
Exactly. And I seem to recall several quotes of him saying that he wants to stay at Liverpool for the rest of his career, or at least for a very long time. I don't think it's anything to do with a new challenge, to be honest, unless his mind's taken a U-turn from those situations. As Paddy said, I just think it is money. I genuinely do think it's money, because there can't be anything else, surely. There cannot be anything else that is stopping him from putting pen to paper on that deal.